Okay, so let's just jump right in. If you're a high school senior, you have just been through, well, a lot. Months of applications, writing essays, all that waiting, and now the decisions are finally in. For a lucky few of you, that brings a whole new kind of stress. I mean, it's a good problem to have, for sure, but it is still stressful. You got into more than one great school. First off, congratulations. But now what? Right? You're staring down these classic, almost legendary choices. Is it Harvard or Yale, Stanford or MIT? Maybe for you, it's a tough call between Duke and Northwestern, or Berkeley and UCLA. Your head is probably just spinning with advice from everybody, your parents, your counselor, and every single Reddit thread you can possibly find. And yeah, the clock is ticking. You've got until about May 1st, so just over a month, to make a call that, let's be honest, feels like it's going to define the rest of your life. The pressure is on, and the stakes feel just impossibly high. But what if you could just slice through all that noise? Forget what your uncle thinks is the most prestigious school. What if there was a tool that could just show you the cold, hard data? A tool that answers one simple question. When other students were in your exact shoes, looking at the same two schools, which one did they actually pick? Well, guess what? A tool like that actually exists. It's called the Parchment Cross-Admit Comparison Tool. And on the surface, man, it looks like the perfect data-driven answer to this huge emotional decision. It promises a simple, objective look at what other students have done. The concept behind it is actually pretty brilliant. It's called revealed preference. Now, what's so interesting here is that it cuts through all the talk. It doesn't care about opinions or magazine rankings. It's all about action. It doesn't ask which school students think is better. It shows you which one they actually enrolled in when they had both acceptance letters sitting right in front of them. And wow, when you first look at this data, it seems super compelling. I mean, check out these elite matchups. Harvard wins against Stanford 65-35. MIT just crushes Caltech 72-28. Look at these numbers. These aren't just squeakers. We're talking about huge, decisive wins here. It really feels like you're getting a definitive answer. And it's not just for the Ivy League, you know? Let's see how this plays out with other big-name research universities. The University of Michigan beats Cornell, 64-36. NYU wins out over Boston University, 63-37. So you're looking at this, and it's so easy to think, okay, case closed, the data has spoken. And it is so tempting to just stop right there. The numbers look clear, the winners are obvious. But hold on a second. What if this super clean, simple data is actually misleading you? What if it's telling the wrong story, or at best, only a tiny, tiny part of it? Because here's the thing, and this is really important. This tool is interesting for sure, but it is also deeply, deeply flawed. The source material we're digging into today lays out some critical red flags you absolutely have to understand before you even think about letting this data influence your choice. So let's run through the biggest problems real quick. First, the tool compares really weird, unrepresentative samples of students. Then, there's a huge bias in who even bothers to report their choice. And maybe the biggest issue of all, it totally ignores crucial things like financial aid. Let's break these down. Okay, first up. These samples are just not representative, so the tool might compare Harvard to the University of Minnesota. But think about this for a second. The tiny, super specific group of students who got into both of those schools, that is not a normal group of students. Their choices tell you basically nothing about what a typical Harvard applicant or a typical Minnesota applicant would do. Second, self-reporting bias. This data only comes from students who go online and voluntarily enter their decision. So just ask yourself, who's more motivated to do that? The student who made the obvious choice, like picking Harvard over their state school, or the student who made a surprising choice and kind of wants to brag about it or show that their school can hang with the big dogs? Yeah, that's probably going to skew the data a lot. And this right here, this is the massive elephant in the room: money. This tool is completely blind to financial aid. A student might not have chosen School A because they thought it was better. They might have chosen School B because it offered them a full ride and was literally the only way their family could afford college. That's not a preference, that's a necessity. And this tool has no way of telling the difference. And that really brings us to the heart of the issue. The data shows you what other people chose, but it gives you absolutely zero insight into why they chose it. And honestly, the why is everything. Was it because of a specific professor, a unique academic program, to be closer to home, the financial aid package?
Those are the details that actually matter for your decision, and they are completely invisible here. So, if you can't trust this data, what are you supposed to do? Well, the good news is there's a much better, much more personal way to make this choice. Yeah, it takes a little more work, but it will lead to a decision you can actually feel great about. Okay, here are the 4 key steps. First, if you possibly can, visit or revisit the campuses. Just feel the vibe. Second, talk to actual students. And I don't mean the official tour guides. Find students in your potential major on Instagram or something. Ask them the hard questions, like what's the worst part about this school, or what you wish you knew before you came. Third, dig deep into your specific department. Who are the professors? What are they researching? Do undergrads get to help? The overall ranking of a university matters way less than the program you'll actually be in every day. And finally, after all that, you gotta trust your gut. You've done the research, now make the call that feels right to you.
Which brings us to the final and most important takeaway from all of this. This decision, it's about you. It's your choice, not the choice of some faceless, anonymous group of students in a database. I want to leave you with this really powerful quote from the source article. Other people aren't you. They have different priorities, different circumstances, different goals. Their decision tells you a story about them, not about you. Their data is not your destiny. So instead of focusing on the majority, I'll leave you with this question. If 70% of students chose school A, what did that other 30% who chose school B know? What were their reasons? Maybe their reasons are your reasons. Your job isn't to follow the crowd. It's to find out if you belong in that 30%.